me preface this with, when a player has Pure still in their cargo hold before they deliver it, is it got like a half value to victory points, or how are we?
Probably.
Okay.
We hadn't determined the number yet. We just knew
Okay.
that it was less.
Okay, so there's going to be some kind of like physical like card or something that they have to deliver and drop off, right?
Probably be like tokens or something where they pick up tokens and then have to like move them around the table, like, pick up these 3 tokens that represents the Pure that you have on board, and then you drop it off, and it goes back to the bank. Like it just moves between you and the bank of tokens.
Okay, well, what if somehow the bank keeps track of how many tokens that 13 Spiders accumulates throughout the game?
Oh, so every time somebody delivers to 13 Spiders, you're gaining VP for making a successful delivery, but now you're creating a bank for them that they're going to sit on and gain bonus VP at the end that is worth raw Pure VP,
right?
Not the refined drug version that they're paying you for.
That's brutal. That's cool.
Oh, man.
So you got multiple players getting them points at a fraction.
And it's like, okay, so then if you're a player, you're like, well, I'm never going to deliver to them. But then if you deliver to the refinery,
right, you
gain marks, and then they're going to steal your VP anyway.
Oh, that is legit. That's cutthroat. I love that.
But if you're the only person running Pure, then you can out VP them at the end.
Yeah. So yeah. But God, think of the mental game in the player's mind.
Right.
Not really sure, losing track, like, oh God, how powerful are like, God, that's really cool. I like that a lot.
Oh man, if we included a little velvet bag in the game with the 13 Spiders logo on it, it could be like that's their secret bank. Every time you make a delivery, you drop it in the bag. Nobody knows how much is in the bag.
I like that a lot.
And if you have to make change, you have to put some kind of token in there to know how many you took out.
Yeah,
we could probably work it where we don't have to like deal with change.
Well, you know what I'm saying though, is like if so many people are getting tokens and like moving them around, you're like, oh, the bank is running out. So it's just like, okay, well, we'll take this player, ship that's not being used. We'll throw it in there for 20, and we'll take out 20, put it in the bank or something.
Or
like that.
When the game runs out of tokens, there's no more Pure in the Parasphere that they can get to.
Oh, damn. So that forces them to go to the other aspects. Okay. But that also means that
there will be competition for what Pure
13
is there,
Spiders is holding all the cards.
So what sort of event would be the catalyst that would create the lack of access to the Parasphere?
Time. The story of the game is supposed to happen with a certain amount of time for players to hit once they hit a certain number of VP.
Right.
We'll have an average number of turns and stuff that's passed. So it's really about time without us saying that there's a time limit. But it's like, once, or maybe it's like an area was identified as having Pure. Once it's mined out, more exploration needs to happen before a new like vein is unearthed or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, the gold vein only has so much gold, and once everybody mines all that gold, it's just gone.
Right.
Well, and it doesn't mean the whole world doesn't have gold. It just means you got to go somewhere else to find it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking from like a narrative story point element was, is it something where they've run out in that vein? There's like a cosmic storm. There's something that causes the collapse of it.
Maybe they have to send out probes to find new veins. Yeah.
So it literally is a race against time without, as you said, putting it that it's a race against time.
And I mean, even just putting a limit on how many tokens are going to be in the game, it could still be like 30, 40, 50, like it could be like 60 tokens. And in a 6-player game, that means that every player gets an opportunity for 10 Pure. Or we could say it's like, but then if it's a 3-player game, oh my gosh, there's a lot more available. Or we could say in the setup rules, depending on how many players you have, that's how much Pure you put into the game, and and we can keep that limit per player amount.
That would also
potential.
That would push people to use the generators or the things that transform into the artifacts.
Yeah. Okay. So 13 Spiders will gain VP from the bank of Pure that they get from deliveries.
That's cool.
Anything that doesn't go to refineries, and we have to assume that sometimes players are going to take things to the refinery.
Sure.
For the higher amount of VP, even though they gain a mark out of it. I think we ought to just say, I think we ought to make it a 50-50 shot. When you roll the dice against a mark, it's 50-50 on whether or not you're going to lose a VP to them. I know that sounds like a lot more.
We can at least play with it.
But I think we can, because that means bridge. when you have 3 marks, you're going to lose 1.5 victory points to the 13 spiders. And if we still think that we're only going to hit 3 marks maybe once to twice a game, we could even round it up. If all 3 of us hit 3 marks twice in a game, that still only means that it would be
giving them 3 each. So 9 total.
So that would only be 9 VP. And if we're at like 15, 20 VP for end game scenario, that still doesn't put them very close. But then with all the deliveries they got, maybe they would be a contender at least. I mean, and there could be like, we could even come up with like one more way for 13 spiders to get VP just to test and see how bad they can beat people. So other things that are in the game that we can mess with. We have marks. We've already hammered that out as much as we can. Pure, I think, is already there as far as we can mess with that for them keeping a bank. So the only other thing that we have that could earn VP without 13 spiders needing to have some kind of like NPC roll, die roll. We don't want a die roll for them. But territory is really the only other thing. Territories and Perisphere artifacts.
I was actually earlier wanting to bring up territories because once upon a time we had it where if you were going through a territory, you had to do a check if it wasn't yours. But then we started having it to where the territories could flip. And I didn't know if we were still doing those checks or if there was only a role if you wanted to contest the influence in that territory. Because otherwise there's no reason to slow boat.
Right. Well, that's only if you're trying to flip a territory with your influence to your faction.
Right. So if you're traveling through a territory that's not yours, is there any reason that you have to do a check, or is it just you automatically fly through?
No. The flying through is fine. It's doing things there. That's
what I couldn't remember if we had determined.
Because we don't have jobs that take you to specific places anymore. The places that people are going to fly are either to other people's ships, to the underground fight circuit token, to other territories to flip them, to the spider's lair to exchange pure, or to the refinery to exchange pure, or they're going to go out to the wastelands and try to get to the Perisphere to obtain pure and artifacts. So all the other locations really matter as far as the game goes because the game doesn't require them to go there. So it wouldn't make sense to like detriment people as they fly around because we're already going to have navigation cards that make random things happen.
Okay. So wait, when do you pull the navigation? Just as because that I think that's the skill check I was talking about. Is like as you go through a territory, you have to do a navigation check.
You pull a navigation card, and then the card tells you whether nothing happened or if a skill check is going to happen.
That's I think what I was going through. So if you don't have to pull a navigation card if you're going through your territory, though, right?
I don't think we codified that because that's kind of a different conversation. That's part of the flight or movement.
So put a pin
action.
in that, and we'll discuss if that's too much.
So what I was trying to get to before we got to that. So one thing that we discussed was at the beginning of the game, either people have no territories or, like in Risk, you sit there and claim territories. So what if every turn or every round, I guess, every round that we're picking territories, like I put down one of my markers, David puts down one of his, Mario puts down one of his. Then I get to put down the first 13 spiders territory. They don't get to take their territory back. And if you take their territory, you're going to gain a mark, but it's permanently like they can't fight you to get the territory back. And so that incentivizes players to go after at least those territories to reduce the amount of bonus VP that 13 spiders will get at the end of the game because there it is sitting in front of you. They get an equal share of the city when the game starts.
Okay.
So if the 3 of us are playing the game, there's going to be an equal share of 13 spiders territories that we have to contend with. And each round, I get to pick one of their territories. Second round, David gets to pick one of the territories. And of course, we're going to pick territories that are like in the middle of whatever we're trying to do.
Right.
Just to fuck with people, right?
Right.
And when we get to the discussion about movement and nav cards, then we can deal with like what does it mean when you fly through those kind of spaces.
Okay.
So that could be one way of VP for 13 spiders. I don't think that the transmutation machine in the Perisphere is really within 13 spiders' reach. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. So territories seems like the best way to give 13 spiders another opportunity to gain some VP.
Agreed.
I'm sitting here typing, they cannot reclaim or turn over territories. And then I was like, wait, what if there was a card while you're navigating that like one of your own territories gets flipped to 13 spiders instead? And we just make that like an engine of the card deck.
That could be one of the cards. Sure.
Yeah.
Covers how 13 spiders is going to gain VP and potentially win the game. That's a lot. I'm trying to think of what we need to talk about next. because we are hammering this out pretty good. We should probably go back to the rule book. It seems like since we're in a discussion about like how to use skills and how to win the game, maybe this is a good time to talk about the other types of actions that a player can take in the game in order to just function.
Make sure
and make sure that it translates well from the steampunk game.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.